Hello, friends. Unfortunately, I have fallen sick, dying, but I'm not gonna let that stop me. So, welcome to Victorville. Now, Raul, in your last video, you asked me to tell you what I did on my birthday, and I think that's a very good thing that I should tell you about because I went to the zoo, and I do want to talk to you about zoos today. I went to the zoo, and I got some boba tea, and then I watched some movies, and my friends brought me some cake, and it was delicious. Uh, Great friends, yeah, good times. And the morning after, I woke up sick, and I'm getting through. Never mind. So I wanted to talk to you about zoos. I went to San Francisco Zoo, and I was very surprised and in a pleasant way because San Francisco Zoo has not that many animals. It's not that big, but most of the animals that they have are there for a purpose, for a reason. Uh, for example, for example, they have a pair of sea lions, and both of them are blind for one reason or another, so they cannot be released in the wild. So they have them because they're taking care of them, otherwise they wouldn't survive. They have a rhinoceros that has an infection in the nose, so it doesn't have a horn, and they can't release it in the wild. They have Mexican gray wolves that they actually have to treat in a very special way because they have to be available to be released in the wild as part of conservation efforts, and that's the same for a couple other animals. So they're trying to take for them to be able to be released in the wild later, and I think that's something very important because one of the main criticisms that there are for zoos is that they just have animals just to have them, to display them. It's not ethical to have them in small places when they should be out in the wild, running around and stuff. But there are some animals that simply cannot be released in the wild because they would get eaten or won't be able to eat, so they would starve. So, uh, keeping them in a zoo is one of the best ways to keep them. I also visited last week the California Academy of Sciences, and they have an albino alligator there, and I found it really interesting. It's actually the second albino uh, alligator that I've seen in captivity. It's actually the only place where you can see an albino alligator because they are very dark animals usually that rely on their camouflage to both to not be eaten by other animals while they're growing up and to eat other animals when they have grown up. So without that camouflage, they can't survive. Furthermore, when you're this white, it's easier for them to develop skin cancer and they have problems surviving. Even they get irritated by the light of the sun. As you probably know, reptiles rely a lot on this sunlight to survive because they have cold blood. So if you can't have that in the wild, you're dead. So these animals need us to survive. So having zoos is really a very good educational tool in many ways, as it allows you to know about these animals, and just knowing that they exist, it's easier for you to care about them and to support efforts to help them survive, because right now there's a lot of animals facing extinction because we simply don't stop cutting up their habitats and throwing pollution in the air, warming the temperatures so that polar bears can't walk on ice. And so this raises awareness. And I mean, many people would make the case that having natural reserves would be a better option for these animals, and that's probably true. However, so the public doesn't usually have access to these natural reserves, which is kind of the point of the natural reserves. They don't work raise awareness. In that sense, zoos are good. Of course, zoos are not perfect places. There's a lot wrong with them. Animals that usually would roam many kilometers in a day cannot move more than a few meters in these zoos because you simply can't have such a big zoo. Otherwise, first, it would be really, really expensive. Second, visitors would not go because they wouldn't see any animals because they wouldn't stay close to the humans because usually animals don't really enjoy humans as much as we might like to think. And there's also the case that many times zoos have very inappropriate conditions for animals. This is very true and very sad, and we should encourage zoos to have better places if they have animals at all. So in general, zoos are one of my favorite places on earth. I learn a lot. It makes me aware of many things that there are, and I think they don't have to be a bad place, but they it many times are, because they're not carried out properly. I encourage you, if you've ever go to San Francisco, visit San Francisco Zoo. It's a very good zoo in the sense that it helps conservation of animals around the world, and it also has its own programs within the zoo, helping animals that cannot survive otherwise. And if I have the chance, I'll go to Oakland Zoo soon, and I'll let you know what I think about it. I think that is it for today, and for your next video, guys, I want you to act like you're sick for at least 30 seconds during the main video, not the intro. I'll see you when I see you.